bottles connected, I had to have oxygen and acetylene, and they were bringing him over from the other battleship. And so I got hooked up and started burning a hole in the bottom, and the decks on there on the bottom was 1 inch thick. So a good thing I brought all my tips, because I had to change my tips. I had to put a big tip in, increase the pressure, and I burned a hole about 6 inches diameter, and Fitz came up, and I yelled, "How many down there?" He says, "We got 10 down there." So I said, "I've got to get a blower in here," and they bought an electric blower, and they hooked it, put it in there, and let air in there so the boys could breathe, because the smoke, when I cut that hole, was taking their oxygen. And so I said, I have to go a little over and cut a hole about 20 inches diameter. It took me about an hour to cut through that 1 inch deck. Sometimes you can't make a perfect hat, so I had to get a sledgehammer and keep hitting until finally it plopped down, and was able to get 10 men out of there. About that time, the battleship alongside, I can't think of the name of it right now, but their shipfitters came over, and they were bringing more bottles, and they started cutting holes, and we cut a whole day through there until dark at night, and we had to stop cutting because the Japs probably would have come back. We didn't know, but they said all lights had to be out, so we couldn't burn. And so it's a good thing we weren't burning, because a lot of our planes from the state came in. They were B-25s. I think there was about 20 of them, and they were trying to land, and they were being shot down by all of the ships that were in the harbor was firing at them. So they took off and headed towards the air base over there, and the other side of the island, and started landing over there. And about the same time, some of the planes from the aircraft carriers, they were sent down to Guam and taken some planes over there, and they heard about it, and they were coming back that night, and they were trying to land there, and they couldn't, because they even shot some of our own fighter planes down, and some of them took off for the other side and started landing over there in Kaneohe over there at the air base over there. But they had a hard time getting down, because the people on the ground, they had no communications with them, and for some reason somebody had a searchlight over there, and they see that there were American planes, and they stopped firing at them, and they got them down. But I don't know how many planes fighter planes that we shot down, because everybody was trigger happy, and most of those B-25s landed over the base over there. It was close to Pearl Harbor there. It's not just a short way away, so they landed over there. And then they wouldn't let her cut anymore that night, and they took me over to the base. So there's a big gymnasium there, and they didn't have any bunks or no hammocks or anything there. We had to sleep on the bleachers, and it's kind of hard sleeping on a wooden bleacher. But they woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and gave you some orange juice, and I think they gave us all an orange or something to eat. And they lined us up, and they said, "Well, we're going to have a working party." And I had a second-class torpedo on. They thought I was a second-class shipfitter, but I was a torpedo, and they gave me 6 men. He says, "You're going over to the Arizona, and we're going up on the forward mast and get those bodies off there," because the mast was leaning forward, and it was fire from #1 turret, just like a blowtorch. It burned all those officers and men up there, and we got up there on that platform, and they were all piled up in a pile. And they gave us some sheets, and we were supposed to wrap all these bodies in a sheet and send them down to the motor once it was down there. So the men that were on top, they were crispy, but we were able to get a number of them off and send them down. We got further down in the pile, but they were cooked like chickens. They were just boiled, and you grabbed the legs and all the flesh would come off their legs. We couldn't move them at all. We just pulled flesh off their arms, and we were getting sick. And the men said, "We can't handle this. We're just sick as me." And all my men that I had up there were heaving. And he said, they knew my name. My name was Chapman. He says, we just can't do it. Let the chief know we can't do this. So I called down. I says, we're bringing the men down. You'll have to come up and see what this is, because we can't handle it. So we came down, and they took us back over to the base again, to by the gymnasium there, and we reported what we saw up there, and so they didn't send any more back up there. But I think they waited a couple of days because the deck was still warm up there, because the fires were burning all night, and it was pretty warm up there. And finally they got some man off some officer off the Arizona, and he asked him, could he handle it? And he says, well, they're my men off here at the ship. And he says, I'll do all I can. And so they gave him some pharmacist mates who were handled bodies, and I don't know, he worked for all day and they were putting them in buckets and anything they could do, because, and they were trying to save all of the bodies in each bucket, because there's nothing but flesh and the bones and all their ID cards. I mean, they all had ID metal tags that were still on them, so they put that down in with them. That's how they could identify the men. There was an admiral up there, and the captain of the ship that burned up there. It was really awful. So the next day, they said, well, anybody below second-class shipfitter, we're going to be still signed at the ship, but the other men will be assigned to other ships in the harbor and go out, and they assigned me to the Peleus with about 5 other men. And from there we had to go to San Francisco for 2 days to pick up some diesel engines and some 5-inch guns and some 25-inch machine guns. We had to take those to Australia. We were going to install these 5-inch guns and all the 20-millimeter guns on the destroyers. So we did that and put them on the submarines, and they were very good. So they were caught up there at night. They could fire at. They sunk all the ships. The Japanese couldn't understand how the submarines had 5-inch guns that were shooting all their ships. So it was quite a change of warfare there.
The picture you're holding, that's the Peleus?
This is the Peleus here.
Could you talk a little bit about it?
This is the submarine tender, the Peleus.
And so those big structures, fore and aft, are for what? I mean, can you...
Okay. So we were repairing submarines down there, but sometimes we had 6 submarines alongside at a time from depth charges. They would break, the screws would be bent, or their conning towers would be gone, but they were still able to bring the ships into Pearl, into Fremantle there for repairs on the Peleus. So we did that for about a year. So as we were working on these submarines that had bent props on them, it was quite a job taking those off in the water because the sharks were always attacking us. And it would take 2 or 3 days to get one prop off of a submarine. So I thought, Jesus, they got a marine railway over there, why can't we use that? So we looked over the marine railway and they didn't have any blocks. They were all burned up because all the taxi stole all the blocks and they were using them as fuel. They had a boiler in back of all those taxis and they would burn the logs up and the wood up. That's how they were running there, because they didn't have any gasoline. So they were cutting trees down and they took all the blocks they had there at the marine railway, so we couldn't dock any ships. So when I was at Pearl, sometimes we stayed 2 weeks in Pearl at a time, and so I used to go over the dry docks and watch them docking ships, because I had to learn that in my trade as a ship fitter. And so I told the skipper on the Peleus, I says, if we can get some blocks, I says, I think I can dock a submarine. He says, well, how did you learn to do that? I says, well, I watched it being done. He says, I've never done it, but it's worth trying. So he said, well, we'll see the mayor down in Perth. Perth is just about 10 miles north of Fremantle, and talk to them and see if we can get some Aborigines to go in the forest and chop some trees down. And so he got some trucks for us and about a dozen strong Aborigines, and they went in the forest and they cut these big eucalyptus trees down, and they cut them down small enough that we could handle them, because we had saws aboard the Peleus that we could cut all the blocks. So we got the docking plans from the submarine, and we cut all the blocks for the submarine and set them up, and we got the submarine, the marine railway working, because the motors, they hadn't been working since before the war, so we checked them all out, and we brought the marine railway, it could go down the water, and we brought the submarine on and set them on the blocks, and then the marine railway had, like, they had chains, they could pull the submarine right out of the water and out of the water, and they got it docked. So I was really surprised that that I could do that. And so from there on, we were taking the screws off out of the water and didn't have any sharks and predators after us. And so the skipper said, John, he says, since you did that, I'm going to make you a first class. I says, well, I just made second class about 2 months ago. He says, forget that 2 months. He says, you're first class now. He says, I haven't got an officer aboard this ship who could dock that. He says, they're going to save us hours and hours of work and get these submarines back out again. So for about 2 weeks, so I was doing that. Orders came in for a first class ship fitter. Go back to the States for new construction on a destroyer. And all the first class on, I don't want to leave, says, take Chapman. He's the youngest one here, and he's well qualified. So they said, well, you're going back to the States, so I had to pack my gear and put me on a ship there, and it went from Fremantle over to the West Coast over there, and I went back to the Queen Mary, and I came back to the States on the Queen Mary, and to San Francisco